In a quiet suburb of Melbourne, Australia, a teenager sits alone in his bedroom, headphones on, laptop glowing, fingers moving faster than thought. What he's about to do will shake one of the biggest companies in the world, Apple. A trillion-dollar tech empire, breached, not by a spy, not by a syndicate, but by a kid. This is the story of Melbourne, the teenager who hacked Apple. For the purposes of this video, the teenager will be referred to as Melbourne, as his real name was not disclosed. This is a common practice in the Australian judicial system to protect minor offenders. In 2015, a 16-year-old schoolboy from Melbourne, Australia, was busy with his laptop while other teens played games and scrolled through social media. He wanted to understand how things worked. He loved Apple, the design, the security, the perfection. But admiration soon turned into curiosity, and curiosity became obsession. He dreamed of working at Apple, and rather than ask for a job, he set out to prove he deserved one. Late at night, while the city slept, he began exploring Apple's servers, searching for cracks in a wall billions of dollars strong. It started small, a vulnerability here, an access token there. Then one day, he found a way in. Not into an app, not into a public website, but into the core of Apple's internal systems. Available reports claimed that Melbourne obtained authorized keys that allowed him to log into internal resources and use tools that created virtual tunnels and other bypass techniques to hide where the traffic is coming. His data extradition was also done slowly, which reduced the risk of suspicion. But Apple's cybersecurity team noticed something subtle, a small pattern of access that didn't match any employee or system. It was as if someone outside the company was quietly walking through Apple's digital halls. Realizing the scope of the intrusion, Apple contacted the FBI, who then worked with the Australian Federal Police to locate the hacker. Weeks of digital forensics followed. Special agents analyzed server logs, timestamps, and device identifiers. Then came the breakthrough: a unique device serial number left behind in the logs. One of the computers used to access Apple's system had a hardware ID, and Apple, of course, recognized it because it was an Apple laptop. That small serial number was the golden thread. They followed it all the way back to a quiet residential neighborhood in Melbourne, Australia. On an early morning in Melbourne, Australian federal police officers arrived at a modest family home. Inside, a 16-year-old boy was asleep, unaware that months of quiet investigation had led directly to his doorstep. For Apple, this was the end of a long and careful pursuit. For the teenager, it was the moment his fascination with technology would collide with the law. Acting on intelligence shared by Apple and the FBI, Australian federal police executed a search warrant on the boy's home. They seized 2 Apple laptops, a mobile phone, and an external hard drive. Each device contained digital evidence of unauthorized access to Apple's internal network. When investigators examined the laptops, they found folders labeled with names like Hacky Hack Hack, a small detail that would soon become symbolic of the case itself. Melbourne was quietly taken into custody for questioning, and despite the seriousness of the charges, police noted that Melbourne cooperated fully and showed genuine remorse. The case went before the Melbourne Children's Court in 2018. Because he was a minor, his name was never released to the public, and all proceedings were kept confidential under Australian law. In court, prosecutors detailed how the teenager had accessed Apple's secure systems repeatedly over 2 years, downloading around 90 gigabytes of files. Investigators confirmed that while he had reached deep into Apple's infrastructure, though no customer data or private information was compromised. Melbourne's lawyer described him as a bright student and a passionate admirer of Apple, someone who dreamed of working for the company one day. Curiosity, the lawyer said, simply went too far. He was found guilty of unauthorized access to computer systems, but avoided a prison sentence due to his age and cooperation. Instead, he received a probation order and a warning chance to rebuild his future outside the justice system. The story of the kid who hacked Apple isn't just about a breach, it's about potential, responsibility, and the thin line between genius and misjudgment. If you enjoyed this story, I'd love to hear from you. What documentary should I make next? Drop your ideas in the comments. Your suggestion might just become our next deep dive. And if you haven't already, make sure to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss the next story.